Now, I generally start with a primer. I have been using this one. Let's see if I can, it's the Stay Matte by Rimmel. It's the makeup primer, the mattifying makeup primer. Because I have oily skin, I like to have a really matte kind of look. So just put a little bit of this on. After my primer, I go in with my Maybelline Baby Skin Instant Pore Eraser. And I normally do it kind of just under here across the tops of my cheekbones and right in the middle of my T-zone, as I have large pores. So I just take a little bit and I just kind of dot it in those areas that I think I need a little bit more pore coverage. It helps kind of smooth and mattify, and a little bit does go a long way. And now my foundation that I've been using is the Fit Me Matte Poreless in the normal to oily in the color Classic Ivory 120, and I've been mixing it with my Rimmel London's BB Cream Matte 9-in-1 Skin Perfecting Super Makeup in medium. So I put a little bit on the back of my hand here, and I just dot it on my cheeks, across my forehead. Now, unlike most people, I don't actually mix my foundations before putting them on my face. Just because these are two really liquidy foundations, they don't really mix too well beforehand, so I do put the BB cream on first. If I was doing makeup on anyone else, I would not use my fingers at all. But on myself, I enjoy using my fingers for certain products, as I feel I can get them at the correct consistency. Now I shake this one too. It doesn't separate as much, but I like to shake it to be sure it doesn't ever get any of that separation. So I just put a little bit on my hand. It's a little bit more than I intended. Now I have this Artiste style brush. My nose is running. Artiste style brush, I got it on sale, and it is technically not an Artiste brush. It actually does not have a name to it. I picked it up at London Drugs. It came in a 3 set, so I have all 3 of them. As you'll see later, I do use all 3 in my daily kind of makeup. Blended under my eyes and in the creases of my nose. Now, as you can see, I'm not going for a really cakey, like full coverage look. If I was doing that, I would not be using either of those foundations. But next, I use my NYX Stay Matte But Not Flat powder foundation. It is a pressed powder. It looks like this. It has a little sponge underneath, which I don't use. I did use. I don't use a lot right now. This is the larger of those knockoff Artis brushes that I picked up at London Drugs, and I just kind of put that on here. I just pat it, especially underneath my eyes. It does. The reason I also use Classic Ivory is because I do use a pressed foundation on top, so it still adds that little bit of color. So if I go with a lighter liquid foundation and I put this on top of it, it does match my skin tone a lot better. Now from here, I move on to my contour, which I am currently using the Essence Shape Your Face contour palette. I was using the Smashbox contour palette, which I absolutely adore, but for the time being, I couldn't afford it to replace it, so I picked up this one. It is actually beautiful because this brown is just the right amount for my skin. Also, you can easily control because it's not super pigmented except for the blush part, which I clearly have not used a lot of because you can still see the pattern. But I take my little faux Artis brush, and this has been my new favorite way to contour. I was using my Smashbox contour brush and it just was not doing it. So I did go through here a little bit, just a few circles, tapped it off on the top, and then I do one little kind of stroke. All my little baby hairs in the way. Do one little stroke, and then I do have a contour blending brush, which is a Lisa Frank brush that I got in an Ipsy bag. It is kind of dirty right now. It's still shedding. And I take that and I just blend it out. My faux Artis brush is really good for placing product, and this just isn't dense enough to place product in a fashion that I like, so I use it as a blending brush. It does take a little bit more work to blend when you've done that way, but I always personally love the look that it gives doing it this way. Put a little bit of the brown underneath my chin. I don't put it on my jaw, I actually put it underneath my jaw because I don't want that 5 o'clock shadow look, but I also want to kind of cut that jaw line. Now I take a little Artis brush again, and this time I take even smaller amounts. So after I've tapped it, I actually rub it on my hand so that there's hardly anything left on the brush. And that's when I go in with my nose. Just so lightly on my nose, as I do find I have a larger nose. It's definitely a cultural trait. My dad is from the Caribbean, so I do have a larger nose, just like most of them do. But I like to kind of define my nose rather than make it smaller. So I actually do a lot more work on making my nose just appear more refined rather than making it look kind of cartoony and small like it does right now. Now I do take a little bit of the brown, just like this, onto my blending contour brush, and I do also bronze up my my forehead area. Not a lot, which is why I use this brush that I use for blending, because I don't want it to look too outrageous in color, but this is what I do. I find I have a very large forehead, and when I'm wearing a baseball cap, it's kind of harder to hide. So just adding a little bit of shadow makes that difference. Now I use my homemade color switcher to kind of clean the powders off my brushes when I'm going from color to color, as I don't actually own a whole bunch of brushes, so I don't have a lot of brushes to spare when it comes to stuff like this. So I do put some under my eyes, and I'm using this middle color here. It's a nice light color. It's very close to the classic ivory color that I used in my foundation. So if you do have paler skin, this color actually works really well as a setting powder. So now that I'm done with that, I use my color switcher so that when I do my makeup tomorrow, my brush is already ready to go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my eyeshadow blending brush. I'm actually going to blend my nose a little bit more in just like tiny little down sweeps down the side of my nose. I do use my big contour brush to begin with, but this one is just really nice for the nose, just because it is so much smaller. I know it's intended for eyeshadow, but it is a synthetic brush, so it is more versatile that way. And now my nose looks less fakey, less fake. And I use that. Now, this is my, it's a little dirty right now, but I only generally use it for one thing. This is my blush brush. I got it in an Ipsy bag. It's a crown brush. I don't know the name of it, but it is a dual fiber brush. That means it's more dense down here and a little more sparse up here. I use it only for blush. That's why it's pink. The blush I'm going to use today is not even from my contour palette. It's actually this Manna Beauty one. Again, from an Ipsy bag. I've fallen in love, and I don't actually know where to buy this brand, so I use it very sparsely. It is this beautiful color. It's kind of gross right now, but it is beautiful pink. It's just like so light. I don't even think I picked up any on my brush. So light, so buildable. It's such a buildable pink. Like you can barely even see it right now. And the more I put on, the more pink it's gonna get. So that's perfect because I'm going for just like super natural look. And I don't even put my blush on the top of my apple. I actually put it a little bit lower and kind of fluff it upwards, higher up. So majority of the pigment actually lands in the middle of my cheekbone, the apple of my cheek. It's actually gold shimmer in it, which is really, I find really nice. I really like the gold shimmer in it. It works better with a warm skin tone like mine. So after I do my blush, I move on to my eyeshadow. Now lately I've been using this Rimmel London Magnifying Eyes Color Edition. It is a gorgeous palette. So today, it says eye contouring palette, but there's not a lot of actual, like, what I feel like matte colors that would work for contouring. So, let's see, where's my, I'm going to take, oh no. I'm going to take my flat eyeshadow brush. It is a domed brush. It's a Sephora eyeshadow brush. It came in a Sephora brush kit. And I'm just going to take a little bit of this purple here. It is the matte purple. It is also the lightest of the purples. And I'm just going to do a little bit on my eyelid. Now the reason I chose to do purple is because I have blue eyes, and purple, kind of these plum colors just makes my eyes look so much more blue, and I love it. It also goes really nicely with my hair, but it's just a really like soft color that I use so little of it, and I try not to go too overboard unless I have like plans after work or I'm working later, so I want more of a nighttime kind of look, even though it's the afternoon. And see, I have hooded eyes, which just means the fold on like my crease is really deep, so I have skin that kind of folds over my eyelid. So I always go above that crease and then bring it down. And I'm using a dome-shaped technique variation, I guess. I need to rewatch the exact technique. This is kind of just how I've been doing it for a long time. I first learned the technique on a video from Stephanie Lang, who has amazing videos on hooded eyes and stuff. I'll link her, my favorite hooded eye video down below on her channel. She is one of my favorite makeup artists. She has hooded eyes like I do. She also has a similar skin type to that I do, so her videos are super helpful. As you can tell, I have really harsh lines. I've got uneven coloring and everything, and it's really just, I'm just laying product down right now. That's where my handy dandy blending brush comes in. So I have used it on my color switcher, and I just lightly take it just on the edges of the eyeshadow. Camera can't decide what kind of lighting I'm in right now because the sun went behind clouds. So I'm going to take my flat brush again on my color switcher, and I'm just going to take this deeper purple on the top. It's also, there's only 3 matte colors in this palette. There's the purple we use, the blue, and then this really deep purple up here. And I just take a tiny little bit, like barely any, on the tip of my brush. And then I also rub it on my hand. Just I just dot it on my hand. I just did not even put it in product that time. I just dot it on my hand to be sure that I get very little on my actual brush. and then I put it just kind of on the outside, just like this, just on top of where that edge is. And I always bring it from my lower lash line up in kind of this C kind of formation. Now, as you can tell, I'm not using a blending brush, so I'm just laying product in the place I want it most pigmented. So that's what it looks like before I've blended it or anything. And I'm gonna do it on the other side. I always tend to go and do both sides to be sure that I put the eyeshadow in the same place before I blend it. Now I'm just blending it with my blending brush again, just so lightly, just to blend those two colors together and kind of be sure that my the center line where I originally placed the product on this side, you can see it on this side. Because I've started blending it, you can't see it as much, but I always want it lighter on the inside of my eye than the outside of my eye. I take that same little bit of product, that whatever's left on my paddle brush before I use it in my color switcher, I put it on the underside of my eye, just so little tiny bit. And the reason I do it after I've placed it is because there's so little left on the brush and I can't easily go overboard. And I take my blending brush and I just so lightly touch it. Now I take both my brushes to my color switcher again. You'll quickly learn this is my favorite thing I've ever made. Best DIY project. Now I'm kind of done with my blending brush, so I'm going to put that back in my little holder. I'm going to take my flat brush, and now because I have blue eyes, I really like to kind of emphasize my eyes. So I take this kind of orangey copper color. I just take a little bit on my brush and I just dot it right through the center of my eyelid. And it kind of gives this really cool kind of coppery, orangey effect. And I just dab it kind of all over that small part of my eyelid that's normally covered by the fold. You can always see a little tiny bit of the copper shining through, and it's just enough for my eyes to look more open. It also makes them look a little bit more blue. I kind of dot it a little bit above the fold as well, but not enough to cover the purple. So I do it on the other eye as well. So this is the point we're at right now. I have my eyeshadow done, my contour, my blush, my foundation's all done. I'm gonna put my palette away. Actually, before I put my palette away, I'm gonna take, this is a flat eyeliner brush. I don't actually use it for eyeliner. It's from Sephora. I'm lying, I kind of use it for eyeliner, but generally I take this white color from my palette, it's a white shimmer, and I just put it on the inner corner of my eye, just a little bit, and just lightly put it underneath my eyebrow as well. Now on a day like today, I don't generally do my eyebrows, just because I have kind of prominent eyebrows already that I don't, and they're not super sparse. They're kind of uneven, but I need to get my eyebrows waxed. They're kind of uneven right now, but that's okay. So I'm actually gonna leave this palette out, and you'll see why after. So I'm not gonna put that away, and I'm just gonna use my color switcher on that brush and put it down with my palette. Next, gotta find my eyeliner. So I use, this one's very well used. I need to pick up a new one. This is in Essence Eyeliner Pen. It's a waterproof pen. As you can tell, I use it a lot. It's a felt tip kind of marker-ish thing there. And I mix that with my Wonder Pencil, my NYX Wonder Pencil. It is beautiful. I have it in the color WP03 Deep. It's for concealing, eye brightening, and reverse eyeliner all in one. I have two of these pencils because I use one to kind of do just my lower waterline, just very gently. All I'm doing is really just adding such a tiny little bit to my lower waterline, and it just kind of opens up that outer corner of my eyes, as I have like really kind of small eyes, like not small eyes, but when I smile, my eyes close a lot. Now I'm gonna take my waterproof eyeliner pen and just go such a small, I love winged liner, but I'm just gonna do a really small wing today. Just to be sure I'm not going too bold or anything. Now, a great eyeliner tip that I have learned over the years is to take blink breaks and not to try and do your eyeliner in one like long line, as no one's hand is steady enough to do that. But before I put the eyeliner on my other eye, I actually set it with my eyeshadow palette. Now I use this really deep purple, it's a shimmer color, and I just use that to actually set the eyeliner because it is very liquid. It also helps me kind of even out and soften the edges of my eyeliner. Not too much, but it's just enough to soften it. And I'm using my Sephora flat eyeliner pencil, eyeliner brush, not pencil, brush again. And when I feel like I've gotten enough powder on it, I can put my brush down and go back to my eyeliner pen and do the other eye. Now that that's done, take my powder again. And there, eyeliner is done. Now, kind of got a boogie because it's almost 12:30. It takes me about half an hour to get to work. So I'm gonna throw on, keep knocking things over. Throw on some highlighter. I use the Dandelion Twinkle by Benefit. I just take a tiny little bit on this, sorry, oh, so unattractive, on my Lisa Frank contouring brush. I just put a tiny little bit just underneath my eyes on the top of my cheekbone and a little bit kind of down my nose. And that's all I do for highlighter. And as you can tell, it's a very, 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 very like soft highlight. But that's okay. So put my highlighter back. I've been using this mascara. I got it in an Ipsy bag. Clearly, it's a little sample size. It's a Rodial Glamolash mascara XXL. Oh. I love it because it's not. It makes my eyes very voluminous, but not unnatural. Now that I put that layer on, I go in with my Benefits They're Real mascara. This is in black. And I just put a little bit of that on as well. Now the most important thing for me is always picking my lipstick. My lipstick is like the #1 thing I pick. So I put on my setting spray. This one is the Essence Instant Matte Makeup Setting Spray with Evermatte. Give it a little shake because I don't know if it separates. It's a mist. I sometimes put it on after my mascara, sometimes before. Now my little lipsticks are all hiding in here. I am going to do a lipstick tour at some point in time. Today I'm gonna go with my go-to kind of natural lip. This is a Lancome lip. It is in Beige Vintage 270. It's one of their lip shakers. Wonderful. This one's a matte one, liquid to matte, but it's not like dehydrating matte. And my lips are kind of dehydrated from being sick. And there, we're ready to go to work.